there's been like this thing in the air where black men, especially, we could say men, but we all know everybody really means black men because that's the majority of the space, do not value their woman. Right? Then we actually have women out there who are also stating, like, well, it just seems like black women do not value themselves at all. Heard about the little girl that ended up getting her mama evicted from their apartment because she was twerking at the complex pool. And now we got a reality show about bad chicks or who's the baddest chicks, and everybody, all these women are pretty much showing up with the banging eyelashes, the banging long hair, the banging fingernails and everything. But what is their value? Like, are they to be valuable? Are they to be obtainable? Are they to be loved now? And now we have all these platforms where pretty much women are just like, we're gonna marry ourselves. So the question was arising was like, well, we've been talking about protecting the woman this whole entire time. But you have women out there who believe that, well, hell, are we even doing or even acting like we should be protected as much as we bash our men? So I'm sure you heard over and over again, black men does not seem to value their black woman, or men are just do not seem to like deem women as valuable. You know, what is your take on that?
I think it's fully loaded. It's a fully loaded assessment, I guess you can say. From a macro perspective, I think it depends on your belief system, right? Like, I mean, to me, if we're talking specifically black women, it's a difficult space to be in because as a man, you know, I have a wife, I got 2 daughters, house full of women. So what's most important to me is to make sure that I'm a provider. And I think it's easy as a man for you to kind of go down the rabbit hole of not necessarily thinking of yourself enough or being in a good enough space to provide for a woman. If you're not financially good, if you're not personally good, and if you're holding on to a lot of baggage that you never let go of from your previous relationship. So I think when we're talking about protecting black women or treating black women the way it just depends on what am I being presented with when a woman comes into your life. That's the reality, like, to me, and it's difficult because it's easy to say, hey, look, you know, I want a woman that's going to take care of home, that's going to do X, Y, and Z, that's going to cook and take care of me. But at the end of the day, we're not living in traditional times anymore, man. Like, that's not my perspective as a man has to change based off of the perspective of what a woman wants, right? So if she wants a man that's going to, right, a relationship's not 50-50. That's just not reality, right? If we're both giving 100%, we can meet somewhere in the middle. But 50-50 tells me that you're not giving your all to it. So to me, if I'm talking about protecting, if I'm talking about being there, if I'm talking about valuing, am I being presented with a woman that's of value? Because I'm going to show value to what I feel is valuable. So I think it all depends on, you know, where we are. Are we in a relationship? Are we dating? Are you in a good space? Am I in a good space? Do I feel like you've healed from your previous relationships? Do I feel like this is something that we can kind of build together? Because we don't have to be in the best of spaces, right? I don't have to personally be the businessman or be necessarily the greatest man of all times, but I need to be working towards something, but so does she. And if the independent woman, right, we hear a lot of that, I can get my own, then bring that. A relationship is where you share happiness. Let's share that happiness together and push each other towards greatness.
How do you feel when you pretty much hear either women are not valuable, you know, no more, or when you just pretty much hear women, like he just stated, when it comes to independence, which is not something a lot of men strive for. Some of us are cool with it. Well, how do you take it all in when you pretty much hear like, hey, we're in modern times. Really don't even need women anymore. All I care about is the bag.
I think it's a very complicated situation. I think there are so many pieces to it. And so I'll do my best to kind of sum up what's happening. There was a traditional role for a woman, the role that I understand God created for the woman based on her abilities. It's like a good leader who can look at his team and say, okay, this guy's really good at this guy's really good at that. It's not about saying someone's better than the next person. It's just, what are they great at? So there has been a push through the mainstream media and through educational institutions to systematically move women from the traditional view, the traditional role, into what is the modern role. And there is an emphasis put on the career and achieving. And so as a result, the women are noticing the results of the change, but they're not aware of their part in the situation. So I empathize, and I'm actually working really hard to up my empathy levels, because I mean, if you just go back a couple months in my content, you know, I was the neck rolling, okay, da da da, until I realized I have a very blessed vantage point, meaning I'm up on a higher position, not comparing myself to other people, but meaning my vantage point is up on a ledge. And we know that if you have a higher vantage point, you can see more. So I'm privy to a different vantage point than most people because of the stuff that had been poured into me. And I literally study this for a living. So from my perspective, I see the cause and effect, but I'm growing more and more empathetic for the people who are on the ground, who are only going off of what's in front of them. So they're doing what they're being told to do. Go after the bag, be a boss, BITCH, be the sexiest thing you can be as close to naked as you can be. That's what they're being told day in and day out. But they were sold a lie, and they were told you can have it all and you can get someone to fall in love with you by being as scantily clad and as promiscuous as possible. And it's not the way men respond. That's not how you're wired. So I think that's where it comes when it's saying, do they have value? I think that people have to be taught what their value is. I think that everybody needs to learn what their role is within society, what their role is within the home. And then once they know their role, then they can excel. But if I'm in the company and I don't understand my job is to be the attorney for the team, and I'm over here trying to do construction, and I don't know anything about construction, I'm not being the team player. I'm not contributing anything. Even though intrinsically I value as a human, I'm not adding anything to this company. Just because I decided that we needed a construction worker, that's not what the job. We're good on construction workers. We needed an attorney to be able to handle, you know, whatever attorneys handle for the company. So that's my take on the situation. I think we're in a big, we're facing an uphill battle if people don't even know what the problem is. They just know they don't like what's happening, but they don't see, I should say, they don't like the effect, but they're totally clueless on what the cause is, because if they knew what the cause was, they could be a part of the solution.
You've coached broken women, hurt women. You see the value come out. So are most women just not, is the modern woman will just say, just misunderstood?
I think they misunderstand and they are misunderstood. If you don't know who you are, this world will tell you. And people who don't know who they are follow people who appear to know who they are, right? You mimic those who have a place that they've cemented in them into the society that we know and understand. So for me, when I see young women who, if we're talking about women who are misrepresenting themselves, women who are scantily clad, women who are making decisions that we know men don't respond to, and men directly invalidate women for. When we see this, we have to understand that not only has she misunderstood, but she's also misunderstood. Meaning, if she's seen this work for another woman who she admires the power and grace or the positioning of, she's going to try to do what she sees work for someone else, right? When you don't have a mom that you admire, that you respect, when you don't have a mother figure that you want to be like, right? Someone who has poured into you and given you the picture and the perspective, right, to see what a woman is like at full power in her essence, in her grace, without the presentation of sexuality, without the nails, the butt, the breast, the this, the that, whatever culture has fed us as a beauty standard or as a standard of attention getting, right? If you haven't known a woman who's empowered you to be your best self and helped you discover whatever your intrinsic gifts were, because everybody offers something different. Yonci, I would imagine, is an extremely evolved partner, emotionally intelligent and wonderful in her own way. But there's a woman as great and as wonderful and as graceful as Yonci that is completely different than Yonci because she's operating at the fullness of who she's supposed to be, right? So there's not just one way to win, but all we see is one way is because society has sold us sex for years and decades and generations, probably hundreds of years. I mean, if you go back to the old burlesque and what are those things called? Those black and white little butt naked playing cards that they used to have back in the 30s. Like this has always been a thing, right? We've always been sold sex. The difference is we didn't all have like the medium that sex was sold in our hands and our pockets at all times. Technology has just exacerbated the issue. So what we see is culture, what appears to be the norm, is actually just the few with a loud voice, with a giant platform, right? And it becomes the many because the many are mimicking the few. The many really just need an example, someone who can personally help them understand what their gifts are in a relationship, what their gifts are to a man, to society, to their children if they were to have them. But we don't get that one-on-one coaching anymore. We don't get that role model, so to speak, anymore, right? I remember the J. Cole line, "First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil." For real, you're the only father that I never knew, and then some other rap shit. um, when he said that, immediately it spoke to me because Uncle Phil was my father figure. Right, I had three big brothers who were pretty gangster. I'm gonna be honest, my brothers is gangsters. They were at the time. So I could have either been like my big brothers, who I loved, who kept me protected, or I could be like Uncle Phil. I could aspire to be the wise gentleman who's powerful, who's successful, who also does the right thing, and who still scares people from time to time. Right? I liked Uncle Phil. He was an example for me. But some of these women don't have like pick a female Uncle Phil. We don't have Aunt Viv anymore. We don't have Miss Huxtable anymore. Like there's not a lot of women who exude the power and the grace and the femininity at full power, at full authority, and at full dominion that we've seen. The only women that we see who have dominion are shaking their asses, uh, usually rapping, or manipulating men and making a spectacle of themselves through the sexuality exploitation of their own bodies. It's not even about what men are doing anymore. It's women exploiting women. So I guess to answer your question, yes, they are misunderstood, but it's because they've misunderstood themselves, and so it makes it very easy to misunderstand somebody in their folly, in their idiocy, in their infancy, right, in their foolishness. We all get to the same place eventually, evolved, hopefully, right? That's the goal. But it's like watching, if you're a saved person, watching unsaved people who don't understand yet what they do. They know not what they do, right? If you're just a mature person, it's like watching young people who do stupid stuff. We all look at teenagers and be like, man, what the hell are they thinking? God, was I ever that dumb? Yes, you were. You were as stupid as the average 13-year-old that you're talking about now. In the same way, trying to find yourself in society, we all go through these phases, and eventually we all get to the same place of either regret for what we've done dumb, or a realization that we've made the right decisions through our maturation process. And so yes, they are misunderstood completely, but they also misunderstand, and we catch them in that phase that they misunderstood. It's a snapshot in time, but we encapsulate them for their lives, and we reduce them to the stupidity of their actions, the actions that we see on display. We reduce them to the dumbest day, the dumbest moment, the dumbest time, the most misguided portion of their lives, because it's on full display. And we might not see that maturation process, but that's also part of their lives. No different than a person working at McDonald's who might become a millionaire. We just see them as a snapshot in time, and we see something that's stupid, dumb, not respectable, and then we say, look at these women. They ain't valuable. Fuck these women. And it ain't that. We're just watching somebody in their folly, and none of us look good in our folly, and we all have contributed to some folly.
I actually think that a lot of them do have mothers that they respect.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. You're like,
Yeah.
if you criticize what they're doing, they're like, well, my mom did this, my auntie did this, my grand. I interviewed some of these ladies recently, and they said, my grandma's the one who taught me. She was in a bad relationship with grandpa, so she told me, look, don't do what I did. But she's swinging the pendulum to the other extreme. She went from hyper submissive, where it's to the point it was toxic and unhealthy, to radically independent, and now you're too masculine. So it's really hard to help someone, like I said, who doesn't realize that they are part of the problem. And if they even hear that they're part of the problem, you have to get past the defensive barrier, thinking that they're saying you as a person are the problem, when in reality it's the behavior that's a problem for what you yourself are trying to go after. It's a hindrance, I should say, not a problem. It's a hindrance.
And it's a lack of identity. You know, when you don't have those type of examples and positive and impactful people that can instill in you the confidence instead of passing down generational trauma to you, like how can you possibly work towards building the type of relationship you think that you want?
Right.
You know, also, yeah, for sure. And also, what are you presenting as your assets? You know, like all the brokenness and the problems. And to Kev's point, you follow those things, you follow those people who you look to as valuable, thus without even recognizing your own value throughout the course of the process, because you're seeing that through a skewed prism of somebody else's perspective.
I think it's a job of us as content creators, honestly, to teach, because the further I get, the more I realize that things that I think are basic or common are far from basic and far from common in this day and age. You know, there was a time when people were taught which forks to use. I mean, table etiquette. I was literally taught how to enter and exit a vehicle with a skirt on. Like, who stops and teaches that now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Who teaches people how to walk in heels so you don't look like a deer with brand new legs? There are so many things that have to be taught. You said TikTok, right? My
TikTok teaches them now, yeah.
But I think that we have to, as content creators, really educate people on the most basic stuff, because as I've been changing my approach to be softer and softer and softer, more people have been comfortable asking. And I have had men ask, like, what makes me sexually attractive as a man? You know, women say, well, what turns a man off? What constitutes masculine energy in a woman? So I think we really need to go to the fundamentals. And these are alphabets, alphabet letters, these are number, and really explain the basics of the genders. And then we can get into how we work together, because it's just so much confusion right now.
Weav, when you're coaching, and you said you coached a lot of men as well, and when it comes to social media playing a big part, because social media plays a huge part apparently in a relationship choosing now, unfortunately, but it can also be a demon. Have you ever advised a man or a woman to take a break from social media while they're dating? And did they kind of had to freaking, look at that as like an ultimatum? Like, do I really want to shut down IG just to date this person? Or like, is that important to them to the point where there's pushback?
I've never advised that because I'm of the belief that it's hard as hell to find balance, like we just talked about right before we launched this video, right? Just in life in general. But there obviously in a relationship has to be a set of priorities and a list of priorities by just what we deem important. And I think this was kind of what Yonci was getting at. It's more so the psychology behind it, right? It's understanding self. It's understanding the reality of what you're going through right now, whether it's dating a woman who is showing you mixed signals or going through the process of dealing with somebody that you believe to show narcissistic tendencies. All of these things are usually huge red flags that we see in the beginning that we choose to ignore, because when you come from dysfunction, it's all you ever know. It's all you've ever been taught. So when things are quiet, when things are normal, when that nice guy comes around, he's too nice or she's too quiet, it's because you've never had that in your life, and experiencing anything different makes you feel outside of your comfort zone. So I never tell them to change. To answer your question, I never tell them to change. I may tell them, hey, tone it down a little bit if that's something that you feel like is kind of interrupting the process of you dating or building that relationship comfortably. But the reality is they have to kind of accept that, because if he's a gamer, if he's loves to watch the game, if he has hopefully good balance in his personal life that'll hopefully transition over into his relationship life. But the reality is we're all on our mobile devices 24/7, whether you're a content creator or you're a school teacher or you're my 13-year-old daughter who literally will just swipe up every 22 seconds after watching a video. So at the end of the day, I think if you can find some sort of balance, some sort of normalcy, getting out of the dysfunction, dealing with your own personal drama that you might not necessarily have been taught. But I think to Yonci's point again, it's also important that there's a little bit of self-realization with that, because we know we have problems. When we're broken, we know we're broken. We know we got problems. We know we're jealous type. We know we got issues. We know that we're always late for stuff. We just don't we watch the videos. Oh man, that really motivated me. But then tomorrow you mad again. You gotta watch the video again. You go back to Kev's video and you're trying to figure out, all right, that made me feel better. And it makes you feel better for 5-10 minutes, maybe that night of sleep. But until you put it into application, until you take the steps necessary in order to become better, like how many people still read? There's audio book, there's 1,000 different things you can do to improve yourself. So to Yonci's point, yeah, we do as content creators have to educate. And I've been actually recently trying to figure out, I just launched a TikTok like a month or two ago. How can I do that in smaller bites, right? Versus long form content that we do on YouTube. How can I do that in smaller bites to just get you to understand your own psychology, how you think, how perception may be a little bit different from me, but also create enough curiosity for you to go into the comment section and be like, wait, what did you mean by that? So it's that self-realization to me, which I'll let Kev or Yonci jump in, but it's that self-realization to me that's important to each of them to realize, oh, I am on my phone too much. I am on social media too much. My wife does need attention. My girlfriend does need attention. I probably should put this phone down while I'm on this date right now so I can actually show her that I'm interested or show him that I'm interested.
When you're coaching a woman and they're actually talking about, this being shamed for being single or unmarried, how often does that take place? What is that? What impact is that actually doing to a woman that's seriously, like really, really seriously trying to get in a relationship, trying to date? Are they really hurt by the content that's out there, especially when it comes to the RPC, the red pill community, where they're pretty much just shaming you for being unmarried when basically the choices out there just really ain't that great?
If we're talking specifically about single mothers, I think because they have the unique perspective of being single mothers.
Yeah, we'll start with them.
Realizing that they didn't become single mothers by using that rose thing that they've been advertising. They became
it wasn't immaculate. Yeah.
Right. They became single mothers by some man showing up and pollinating that flower. So when you're thinking about this idea that single mothers, there are more single mothers than this or that. Like the statistic says, statistically speaking, half as many men are parents as women. And people share that statistic as if it damns women, but it damns men. It means twice as many women are being impregnated by the same few shitbag guys.
I was doing the math in my head. I was like, wait.
Yes.
Yes.
Come on, Kev. It's too late for you to be. Come on, man. Don't be making us do math now.
It means these guys have, most men average 2 babies mothers. That's what that means. It doesn't mean that these women are out here. It means the same guys are running around here manipulating. So when I talk to single mothers, even in the absence of me dropping that statistic, since they've been using statistics to shame Black women but even in the absence of the statistics that all point right back to a man, I don't give a crap what the statistic is. They all point back to men not being men. But to your point, to your question, when that comes up, I think because they understand they didn't have that baby by themselves, they hear the insult, they hear the shame. It really doesn't bother them from the red pill community, because those are the types of men that they don't want around their children for the most part. The women who are really dedicated to the experience that their children are having. The shame that bothers women the most, and Yonci would be able to speak to this even better so than I could, is the shame that comes from their grandmothers, their mothers, their churches, right? The people who are supposed to love them and see their humanity, saying, look at you, you're just a single mother, that's all you are. Like those toxic voices that raise them and misguide them, Those are the ones that have more damage. When I speak to my clients and they talk about the red pill community, they're royally annoyed by the stupidity and the idiocy and the lack of responsibility that these guys have when they're shitting on women. Like, nobody likes it. But you really have to respect and admire a person for them to affect you, right? Unless you're just malleable and can be bent in any direction, in any shape by anybody's rebuke. The Bible says it's better to have the rebuke of a wise man than the applause of a fool, or however it says it, right? It's better for someone who knows what the hell they are, who they are, with the right intention of God to say, listen, you need to correct yourself, than for a fool to praise you, right? Than the praise of a fool. The problem with this is that these guys who spend all this time using statistics or arguments of any kind to shit on black women specifically, especially these ones that exalt white women, like look at the over here, black women, this is how you're supposed to be, and they'd be like a Spanish woman or a white woman. They're just using and weaponizing another woman doing something right to them to beat up on a black woman, especially a single one. When you think about those people, they aren't the wise man. They are the fool. I don't think a fool's rebuke is any more powerful, any more valuable than a fool's praise, to be quite honest. And intrinsically, even though these women are having a rough time, even though these women are single mothers, even though these women are having difficulty dating and they know that, they're taking responsibility. They're on the phone trying to figure out how to be better, how to do better, how to think better, how to act better, how to create better patterns. They see themselves trying to grow and making an effort. We don't see that with men in the community whatsoever. When men are trying to improve themselves, it's either trying to get more ass or trying to figure out how to blame every issue that they've ever had in their life on a woman. And that's the whole red pill community. So women don't respect men in the red pill community enough to receive upon themselves the shame in most cases that I've witnessed. And I'm just talking about the people that I talk to. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I need to preface this. I don't know how or why, but the majority of my clients, and I have a lot of poor people. I have a lot of people in the beginning stages of life or finance or whatever. But I speak to the smartest women in the world. When people say, "Oh, it's not rocket science," I have multiple rocket science clients, right? Rocket scientist clients. People say, "Oh, you don't have to be a doctor of psychology." The psychology community is one of my biggest, most common communities that I serve. When people say you don't have to be as smart as an engineer or so, all of my clients are engineers. Like, I speak to intelligence on a daily basis. So these people know who they are. They know what they've tried. They know what they've done to improve themselves and the lives of their children. So there's a pride there. There's a knowing there of who they are and what they mean as a mom, as a daughter, as a family member, and what they want to do in a relationship. So no, when a red pill man says some stupid shit about a woman who has her shit together, who's literally just trying to figure out how to live vicariously through the dick of another man who misuses women because that is the value of his whole life is besting women, it just doesn't have an effect on them in the way you would imagine it does. The only time it does is in the comment section when they're arguing and cussing each other out because people get really passionate about comment section arguments. The only time it really hurts them is when their mother, their grandmother, their aunt, their dad, the people who disappointed them and people who didn't serve them, those people, they hurt them. They can shame them. The church that they go to telling them that they are going to be excommunicated if they don't do this and so. Or they're single mothers, they ought to be damned to hell. Those types of people hurt them. But some red pill, some of a bitch ain't doing nothing to these women. These women got more money, more class, more skill, and more prospects than most of these men out here trying to figure out how to use a statistic to get around the idea that women don't like him because he don't have no damn personality.
Of course, y'all know I'll be talking about the bonehead MGTOW red pillers. I always got to say that because I know some people who claim red pill that are actually that don't bastardize it. They're just aware of things, but they still love the ladies, not the ones that are insulting or insulted by the ladies. Now, Yonci, one of the things I don't think I told you this before. What I love about your content is that you don't shame women. You pretty much like to game them up on a better presentation. But I'm sure some have even came at you just for that because
you said some women.
Yeah, because I'm sure you're trying, you're trying to coach and you're kind of trying to let them know what men like and we like femininity. But why should we even try to be all feminine or just be in shape or all this other stuff for these niggas, aka black men? Because that's really what we're talking about here. As far as we have grown up, black men, we have been equal to are black women. We got the same ass whoopings by the same person with the same belt on the same block. So why should we even try to be feminine? Why should we even try to compete? They don't value us, and we don't value them. So Yonci, what keeps your fire lit to keep on going, to put out the positive content, that you do, expressing, hey, be feminine, our men are going to be masculine, and we're all going to come together and just be cool again. But of course, we know you get that pushback. Go ahead.
So I'm motivated by my avatar. And for the viewers that are not versed with marketing terms, the avatar is your ideal client, who your person is you envision, so that every single piece of content is getting directed to her. And I'll never forget the person who gave me this information. It was really helpful. Shout out to Sean Cannell from Think Media. But he said, when you're trying to get your content really, really focused in, he said the perfect avatar that like the back of your hand is you of yesterday.
Shout out Think Media.
Right? I'm just amazing content they do for free. So much free content.
Right.
So I am thinking of little Yonci, younger Yonci. And when I was looking for answers, I didn't see this stuff. And there were a lot of questions that I had. And that's how I got my platform, was me actually being the me of yesterday asking. And people just shoved me to the front of the classroom like, all right, here's a podium. I'm like, I'm still learning too. And I'm still learning. But I say that to say, I'm not derailed by the people who don't want my stuff any more than the soup kitchen is derailed by people who think they're too good for the soup. I'm here for the people who want it. And when I see the people get their proverbial soup, life change, put their weight back on, get nutrition back in their system, it is life changing. Getting feedback from my clients saying, I'm so ecstatic. I'm not even use the rest of my package because I'm too busy living life. Like, that is my dream. Seeing couples reconcile. I finally started to get into couples counseling, and it's amazing. So all the other stuff becomes chatter. The other thing is this, because I have been, and I take my spirituality very seriously, I really, truly pray every single day for a heart that looks like God's. And when God sees us, he doesn't see our sins and our iniquities. He sees our potential, who we are in him, and, through Jesus. And so I am trying really hard, and it's starting to happen where when I see a woman who is pushing back, I see somebody who is hurting. I see somebody who doesn't have the truth. And so it evokes compassion as opposed to making me be frustrated. When I see a man who's cursing and, spewing all this stuff, I'm able now to say, man, I can tell you're hurt. Because I understand that a lot of people don't use sad cues. They don't show sadness on their face. It's easier and it feels more powerful to show anger. When you really hurt me, I'm going to ball up my fist and scowl at my face. I'm not going to be vulnerable and cry for you because you don't even deserve to see this. So a lot of times these women who are having these visceral reactions, the men are having these visceral reactions, they're actually really masking a lot of pain. They're trying unsuccessfully to mask pain because you can see it if you have a trained eye. And so usually when basically it's kind of like kneeling down in front of a kid, you get down to their level. When someone sees that you're really being compassionate and you're coming down to where they are, it changes their whole MO. And I've gotten apologies. I've gotten, oh my goodness, I misunderstood. I've gotten all that. So most people, if they stick around past 30 seconds, they're not mad at my content anymore. They're like, oh, dang, she's actually like really trying. And then if they haven't stuck around for more than 30 seconds, someone gets them together and I have to tell them back off, don't attack. They're like, you don't know her content. She puts herself out there for everybody. She loves everyone. I'll be like, it's okay. It's okay. But my people, they're more aggressive than I am.
Some say that marriage is a business. I've been married. Oh shit. It'll be 9 years of me being married as of June 8th next month. My God. And I ain't felt no type of business aspect in my marriage at all. It's pretty much just been emotional love and all that kind of stuff, right? So, Weav, I want to ask Weav, should we get back to getting married for business purposes? And what the hell does that mean? Because men are not marrying somebody just for no damn business. They're marrying for love or for lust or for insecurity. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, marriage, in my belief of marriage is not a transaction. I believe we're both getting something out of it. I believe we're both fulfilling a side of need, whether that's intimate, whether that's financial. And I do believe in those roles that a man or a woman play in a household, especially when there's kids involved. But at the end of the day, I don't buy into getting married for. We see what happens for a lot of the people that follow a lot of these big, if you want to call them content creators online, what happens with their marriages. Because it looks good, because they look good together, because Hollywood told them that they look good together, because they were in a movie together. We see how that usually, how the bridge usually gets burned down on both sides. And that's for rich people. We're talking about for everyday people who deal with
average Joe.
The day in and day out. It's hard enough living. It's hard enough going to school. It's hard enough working at a job you hate. It's hard enough carrying the pain from somebody passing away in your personal life, let alone getting in a marriage that will lead to even more unhappiness on both sides. And you get in a relationship, hopefully you get into a marriage, but the goal is to serve. It's both of your jobs to put in the work. It's to make the time when there is no time. It's to create. You're never going to create the same type of magic that you had anytime whether you get in a relationship or you start dating or you get married, but you work through it. And I believe working through it means, as my wife would probably attest to, there's a level of transparency that can't be held back just because you're in a shitty mood or because things aren't going right at your dead end job that you've been wanting to leave. That's hopefully when your partner steps in and says, well, why don't you push for better? Why don't you do more? And that type of compliment as a marriage, to me, is what marriage is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be a transaction where we're just like, hey, you know what? I want to be a stay-at-home mom. You want to be a dude that's out there on the road and handle your business. Don't bring it home. I won't complain about it. At the end of the day, that sounds really good. But the reality is over time, that'll turn into an utter and complete disaster because it's not genuine and it's not heartfelt. And when it's not genuine and heartfelt, I believe it's destined to fail.
Kev, is marriage still a business or is it just now emotional?
I think balance is key. There's business that needs to be tended to, but it's not a business. I think transactional relationships, first of all, everything we've said, just copy and paste. But it's not a business, man. For me, I'm trying to live a happy, peaceful, tranquil, impactful, and helpful life. Right? I'm a spirit with a body. Not the other way around. I'm not a wallet. I'm not a bank account. I'm not an insurance account. I'm not a 401k. I'm a spirit with the body. My wife is a spirit with the body. My sons are spirits with bodies. We're trying to live life. Life is not about the bag. This obsession with the bag is insanity to me right now, because people spend their whole lives trying to figure out how to get money. But rarely do they spend their lives really living, right? I think the Dalai Lama said what surprises him the most about humanity is people live life. He says something to the effect that people live their whole lives trying to get money. And then when they get money, they realize they've run out of life. To some degree, that was the quote.
That sounds like Dalai Lama.
Terrible. But this illustration that this man chases a bag of money until he's old, and once he finally catches the bag of money, he didn't have much life left to live, right? I beat up and bastardized the quote, but that's the gist. It's in I can find the meme. It's in my phone somewhere, but I can tell you that for me,
you got it pretty good, Kev. I've seen it.
Yeah.
You got it pretty good.
Marriage isn't a business, man, unless the business is us living a life that we can be happy and living a life that our children don't need counseling over, and they don't have to break generational curses, because we didn't set any generational curses and we broke the ones in front of us. Man, I don't give a damn about money. I was talking to my supervisor at my work, at my day job yesterday. I was like, he was talking about his son. He's like, man, I guess he's going to be a working man. He's going to, he got all these construction certifications. I guess that's what he wants to do. So as long as he's, good, I'm good. I said, man, I don't give a damn if my son is a ribbon dancer. I mean, I would prefer him not to be a ribbon dancer.
Why was that the first occupation that came
I don't give a damn. It's just the most ridiculous thing I could think of. I said,
underwater basket weaver.
If my son is a ribbon dancer, if he's truly happy, he doesn't have depression, he's not suicidal, he's fulfilled, and he's doing good things for people and being a good person and having a good impact, that's all I want, bro. So for me, the business is last, because I've known people who lose their lives over the business. They lose their livelihoods over obsession about their business. They lose their minds over business, nervous breakdowns, jail time trying to get some money. People have sacrificed the whole life experience for the business, when the business is an accessory to life. It is not the meaning of life. And so for me, no, hell no. Marriage can never be about the business. It can be about growing together so that you can function and have happier lives, have more fulfilled lives, right? The abundance that Jesus talked about. I came that you have life and have it more abundantly. He's talking about life, but finances are a part of that. If it takes a little bit of abundance to explore, it takes a little bit of abundance to be a blessing to others and operate within the full range of your generosity, maybe then there's some bag that's important at that point. But to be quite honest, man, this transactional obsession with like women get their money, they got to get rich, and then they got to go find a man richer than them just so they can be equals, so they can be a power couple. For what? At what? Because we're just trying to be two Mercedes.
Oof.
Like, what the hell is the point of trying to look like the baddest, most powerful, most rich couple with the biggest house, and you've chosen someone who won't be in that house because they come home at all hours of the night? You've chosen someone who's going to sneak all the groupies they can in that house when you go out of town to see your mother, right? When we think about the bag, and we think about these businesses that people form in their power coupleships, it's really counterintuitive, and it's obviously not working for anybody. Otherwise, celebrity marriages would have the biggest lasting rates of any marriages, but they break up in 3 and 4 months on average, and they got all the money in the world, all the status, all the Mercedes, and they still don't work because they're looking at the optics. We're the power couple, everybody wants to be us, but who are we? They don't know. Outside of the bag and those characters that they play on TV, they have no idea. So no, hell no. Marriage is not a business to me. It's a union, and business is involved, but it's a joint business, and it's not about looking like you got it together. It's about really having it together and making sure that you protected your family with how you run the business of your family.
I don't think that it is a business transaction. However, I do think that together we are better. I don't think that it's all about what people say. It's all about love meaning emotions and heart palpitations. I do think that our job is to build communities and build families rather. So I think that our purpose, it shouldn't be business driven, but it should be purpose driven. So I think that purpose should supersede everything else. It's amazing that we also happen to like each other, but the purpose should be building of the home, building of a secure family unit that is going to help raise healthy children who can go on and make another generation that's healthy. So if we're going to say it's the business, it should be the business of doing kingdom work. So, but it should be rooted in love. So.